Alrighty, welcome back, my friends. I was able to wrangle Mr. Scott Meyers from his busy schedule today. Scott, how are you right now?
I'm doing fantastic, Roel. How about yourself?
Excellent. It was great seeing you last week at our live event in Orlando.
Yep. Well, it definitely was good to be in Orlando and getting out of the Midwestern snow and cold. So, yep, and it's good to see you and the rest of the gang as well.
Awesome. So I have kind of a fun set of questions that I kind of
hmm
prepared for you.
hmm
Yeah, we kind of dismiss some naysayers who are thinking about getting into self storage sometimes, but I thought it'd be kind of good for you to me to kind of do a lightning round, if you will, of
hmm
some what if questions
Yep.
that
Sure.
some people who are kind of new to self storage investing
hmm
that might ask, and I've seen these around. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so here's a pretty simple one. Let's start off with, what if a customer doesn't pay you rent and quote unquote ghosts you?
hmm Well, the beauty of self storage, and that certainly is coming from somebody who is new to the industry, because in the self storage business and in our industry, we have the protection of lien laws instead of the eviction laws like habitational real estate. So, under our lien laws in self storage, if somebody doesn't pay rent, and most facility owners, operators, rent is due by the first. It is late by the fifth. And then on the sixth, we have the ability to overlock that unit, which means that we put another lock on it. And if anybody's watched Storage Wars or Auction Hunters or any of the shows, you'll be familiar with this. But if they do not pay, we lock them out. Then we go through a process. It's the lien process, and it is set by each state and into law. But the parameters, the process is roughly the same in all 50 states. We send out certified letters, two of them, one letting them know we place a lien on their unit, and we've overlocked them. And if they want to get into and get access to the unit, then they have to pay for the back rent and late fees. And if they don't, we send another certified letter out stating that we have the ability to, and we are going to auction their unit off to recoup our back rent and late fees. And so after 90 days, if we have not heard from them, they have not paid, then we do have the ability to then advertise for an auction and then hold that auction at our facility and auction off any units in which somebody has not come in and paid us. So they can ghost us all they want. We do have the ability, however, to sell their contents, and we can't do that in single family rentals or apartments.
hmm Here's a funny one. What if you don't want to
Mhm.
auction off their stuff, but you want to keep it all for yourself? Can you do that?
No, you cannot. And this is a little bit of a gray area for some of those folks that want the units. You can also have somebody, if you know what's in the unit by chance, you can hire somebody, or if you want to have your spouse or friend, brother-in-law, whoever, bid on that unit. If you know that there's some good things in there, and you shouldn't really, because this is self-storage and we don't keep a key and we don't create what's called a bailment. So unless you just have knowledge of it and you want the stuff that's in it, you still have to go through the process, the lien process, and sell it off. But if you want to put a plant in the audience, then certainly that is legal, and you can actually have somebody else buy that unit.
Interesting. Something new I've learned too. What
hmm
if there's a leak in the roof for one of
hmm
the storage units and damages a customer's stuff?
hmm Well, if they come into the office and let us know, we will say thank you very much. We will certainly get on that roof leak right away. And hopefully you didn't have too much damage to your goods inside. And if they say, yes, we did, that's why I'm contacting you, well, then we ask them to turn that in on their renter's insurance, because again, we don't take care, we don't take possession of anybody's goods. That is theirs and theirs only. They have sole access to the unit, and they insure the contents of that unit. So again, another one of the beauties of self storage is that we don't take on that liability of the contents of the unit.
hmm Okay. What if someone tries to live in one of the storage units? How do you get them out?
Well, that is illegal as well, and so we call the police. And if our managers see that, they have to immediately contact, either approach them and say, "Hey, you cannot live here. You have to get out." And if they do not leave, then you have to remove them. And by the way, if there are any owner operators out there that are feeling bad because somebody may be down on their luck and this is the only place they can live, well, you can also get in a heap of trouble, because that is not habitational real estate and that is dangerous. If there's a fire, they may not be able to get out. They may not be able to breathe. That is not a habitational piece of real estate to rent out. And if you have knowledge of it, you better get them out right away, or you may be liable if something happens to them, any harm or worse.
hmm hmm Is there like like an application process, like evictions, for habitational real estate, or is it something as simple as calling up the local authorities and saying, "Hey, we need somebody removed from this.
Yeah, they just need to go. So our lease is the exact same, and it's for contents and contents only. If somebody is living in a unit, we contact the authorities. So if we approach them and say you can't live in here anymore, we're terminating your lease, you still have the right to terminate their lease whether you want to or not. But that is immediately. And if you find out that they're still living there, if they're choosing to do so, and you've let them know that it's illegal, you cannot live in a storage unit. Period. Then we call the police and have them removed because they cannot live in a storage unit.
And that process should only take what, a few hours, a day or two?
I would hope no more than that. If they refuse to leave, then we will call the police and hope the police would come out and just remove them because that is a danger. It's a hazard.
Yeah, big point being that with evictions, that could take, depending what state you're in, a few weeks to several weeks,
hmm
right?
Several weeks or several months in that case. But again, with contents, which is what storage is for, if somebody does not pay, we have 90 days to move them out. If somebody is living in a unit, that's illegal, and we can't have that, and we are liable for that. And so we tell them, if we catch them, if we realize that they've stayed overnight, the manager sees that or on the surveillance system and says, "Hey, it is illegal in this country to live in a storage unit. You cannot do this, and you have to leave." And if they do not leave, we call the police and remove them.
Okay, next question. What if someone tries to operate a meth lab or a grow op inside a storage unit?
Yeah.
How do you
Well,
deal
we're gonna catch them, and usually self storage really isn't conducive to that. I mean, you need water and you need plumbing and electricity,
Great
and
point.
we don't have water in our units, so we remove the electricity if we buy a facility that has it. So it doesn't mean they can't run extension cords or figure out a way to be able to do so. But if you're gonna if you're going to perform some illegal activity, you're typically not going to go to a storage facility like ours that is very well lit, that has security cameras everywhere, where you can't be on site, 24 hours, and have a lot of activity going back and forth. I mean, that's something that we would recognize. There's managers, there's surveillance. That it's just not a place where people are going to perform illegal activity on an ongoing basis. So they can do that in their houses, rental houses, apartments. That's where you find the meth labs, but you don't find them in self storage very often.
Good
We've
point.
got
There's really no utilities to run one of those
There
things.
isn't. No, it's just not conducive. We over 2.2 million square feet now, Roel, as you know, 13,000 doors, and we've never had a grow lab, never had a meth lab that we've identified or uncovered in any of our units.
What if a customer or even a guest of a customer gets injured, like a slip and fall claim type of thing
hmm
on the premises?
hmm
This is something that's kind of in a gray area too now, especially if it's winter in
hmm
the area that you own.
Yeah, well, not really gray. It's if they slip and fall, they can file a claim, and they can certainly, see if there's any negligence on our part, if we didn't plow, if we didn't do what we say we're going to do in the lease agreement, put salt down in certain areas. Again, this is self storage, and there is a little bit of risk of just running around out in the cold and the snow or slipping and falling. We carry insurance for that in case there's negligence, but just because somebody slips and falls on our property doesn't mean that we're liable, unless there's negligence in which we've stated that when there's 2 3/4 inches of snow on the ground, that we will shovel, we will plow, and put salt down, and we didn't, and then they fell. That's different. But outside of that, again, any other insurance that they would carry would cover themselves. And if there was a claim that is filed, we turn it into our insurance company, and then they deal with their insurance company.
Okay, great. Uh, Here's kind of a dark one. I remember you did mention this in almost hypothetically, but what if
hmm
you found a dead body?
Yeah. Again, call the
What would you
authorities.
actually do?
Yeah. I don't know. I probably shut the door really quick if I actually found it. But yeah, just, we don't deal in dead bodies. We're just in storage and people's stuff, not dead spouses or ex-girlfriends. We would,
Oh,
or
jeez.
suicide. So just, we contact, and again, knock on wood, we've never had an issue. We never had any time where we had to remove a body from any of our units. I know that's happened a few times out there just because, well, that's just because people do bad things. But we have never had that happen. Call the authorities, call the police, and they'll deal with it. It's not ours to deal with or clean up or mop up or do anything with. So I mean, it's
hmm
no different if you opened up your garage door in your house and you found a dead body. Hopefully, it wasn't somebody you knew, but you
Jeez.
call the authorities and they take care of it. That's what we pay taxes for.
Right, right. Now, I kind of know the answer to this, but we kind of touched upon it. But specifically, what if there is, I know a student had expressed concern. What if it's used for storing stolen goods or
hmm
something illegal like that? It's not so
hmm
obvious. It's just, who knows? Like, or you have a
Yeah.
suspicion. There's some sketchy characters you see going in and out, but
Yeah.
nothing overt.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, unless we can catch them in the act, there's really nothing we can do. If you wanted to call the authorities and they wanted to bring in a dog to, sniff, if they can smell anything that is illegal, any type of a substance like narcotics or drugs or something, that's really about the only remedy. Outside of that, your suspicion, it's kind of hard. It's people that bring stuff in and out all the time, unless, it's just that, Well, it's just suspicion unless you prove otherwise. If somebody comes and says, hey, this guy stole my stuff and we think it's storing it here, then again, they deal with that with the police. If the police show up and they have good reason to be able to open a unit and it doesn't interfere with our lease, or they have, a search warrant in which they can do so, we have to abide by, the laws and open that unit up and give them access. But we don't get involved in suspicion of things. And there's no way of really proving or really kind of determining if somebody's bringing something in or out, whether we feel like it's illegal or not. Certainly, if we can sense and we understand that there's some illegal activity, if there's an illegal activity on our premises, then we immediately notify the police.
Okay. Now, what if you're at a restaurant celebrating something and they ran out of red wine and they only have white wine? What would you do?
Now that's an emergency. I don't know what I would do. I can handle everything else you've thrown at me, Roel, but right now that one, I think I'd have to ask for, let me see, to not pay for anything that I've eaten up to that point and have to excuse myself from the restaurant. That's what I'd have to do.
All right. So guys, if you're watching this video, if you have some what if questions, please place it in the comments box and then we'll sort through them. And if we feel like there's something that be worth addressing in a future video podcast or YouTube episode, then we'll certainly feature it. But any like sort of final thoughts, I guess, because there's a lot of what if questions.
There are.
A lot of these I know are out in the extremes, in the weeds. Are these really something that people really need to seriously worry about? Like how do you address it in any way, shape, or form?
Now, here's the way I address it. Roel, people send those in, or if I'm speaking in front of a large audience, there will be the people that ask the what if questions. And I guess the easiest answer is, well, I'll tell you what, if those are questions that are really keeping you from getting into the business, those are the 0.0001% chance that would ever happen. But once you get into the business, then you can ask me those questions because you realize they were silly to begin with. So if you're looking for reasons not to invest, that's kind of self-defeating, and I can't help you. I think you need to talk to somebody else because you may have an issue in being an entrepreneur and just going out and moving forward in business in general. Because at the end of the day, somebody can create any what if scenario they want to make excuses as to why they're not going out and for whatever reason, investing or starting a business or, chasing their dreams. Maybe fear of failure or something else, but it's usually something a little more, and not to get philosophical, but probably, a little something more psychological, that they have an issue with moving forward and they're just making excuses so that they don't have to face maybe a minor failure as they're starting a business. That's my take anyway.
Yeah, very good point. I guess a lot of these, while some of the what if questions I just asked you are possible, I guess you got to kind of ask, how probable are they?
Exactly.
And then if worst case scenario, if it does pop up, I mean, there's an answer.
Right. And does it cost you anything? And are you going to lose your business? I mean, they can be mitigated. There's very few things out there that, if you're doing your business correctly, you're not committing fraud, you're not lying, you're properly insured, and you're paying attention and watching your business and the numbers and making sure that you're meeting your goals and that the money is coming in, then, there shouldn't be any surprises in the business. Things go wrong, things happen, but, that's life. We take a risk every time we walk out our front door. So.
That's awesome. Very good point. So this episode for me at least went by really quick. So this is a lot of fun. I hope to encourage people to submit any other what if questions or even other questions in general that you might have for Scott, and I'll sort through them and then and present them. But I think what would be good is I'll come up, even if I don't find some around our social media, come up with some other fun what if questions to pose to you in a future episode.
Yeah, well, we can certainly have a conversation about that because I know what they all are, and there's usually about 12 of them or so that I handle on a regular basis. So we can certainly have a chat about that, Roel.
Sure, sounds great. All right, Scott, thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.
All right, my pleasure. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye now.
Thanks again for joining us here at Self-Storage Investing. We really, really appreciate it. For more great content like this, make sure to click the subscribe button below this video. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and BiggerPockets. You can also visit us at our main website at selfstorageinvesting.com, where you'll find even more free content, our ebook, and registration to our free webinars and education courses, and much, much more. Once again, for more great content like this, please click the subscribe button below. Thank you.